I'm Jill Danaitas. I'm playing Sjena, the Tabaxi Gloomstalker Ranger. My favorite thing about D&D is the fact that I get to be really creative with storytelling. I'm not really personally a natural storyteller. I don't write stories, but I get to come up with these amazing characters. I get to play with my friends, but I also get to create this world inside my head, and I get to share it with a lot of people. So for me, that other aspect of diving into creation is a lot of fun for me. Veo is this kind of like alley cat kind of character. She initially grew up in the city as a young little kitten. Veo had a different upbringing, I would say, than a lot of other kids in the city. She was adopted by her father at a very young age, so she doesn't really remember what was before then, but she grew up in the castle as kind of a helper to the servants. Her father was very well known around the city. On that terrible day, Veo and her father were out amongst the outskirts of the city, connecting with the communities that they're very well known in, and all of a sudden when the star fell, the city was in chaos. So there were families running around, there was death and destruction, and Veo ultimately got separated from her father. She doesn't know what happened to him. And ultimately she got taken up by the rangers that live around the city, the Hooded Lanterns, which ultimately were the old guard that lived in Drakkenheim. She finds it as her safe haven, even though a lot of people do not consider Drakkenheim a safe place at all. She's learned her way around. So she finds food, she finds work. Ultimately, she finds connection to the people that are still around, again, especially that old guard that she considers to be some of her old companions for when she used to live in the castle. Veo's connected to the group through Sebastian. Sebastian was actually her childhood friend, and they were kind of mischief makers. They got into a lot of trouble around the city, and they were kind of well known for the nooks and crannies and the trouble they would get into together. So it was a great relationship, and unfortunately, they lost connection when the day happened, and she hasn't really seen him since. So when River kind of brought them together, it was a really great way for them to reconnect and kind of reinitiate that bond. Because she's a survivor, she really had to take jobs wherever she could get them. So River was a key person who would give her jobs of collecting the delirium, the shiny as she calls it, and she would get a lot of food. If River was supplying the fish, she was good with it. Veo is the type of character that, because she's been in a position that she needs to survive, she's very cautious. So I think what's interesting in the dynamic is that she's now leading this group where they don't mind getting into a little bit of trouble, where Veo sees that as, hey, you're gonna get yourselves killed if you keep bombarding into all these interactions. So that caution is hopefully what's going to keep the group alive during their time in Drakkenheim. But I think she also can be easily distracted by her tummy. So Veo is very much focused on food, where her next meal is coming, because that hasn't necessarily been something that's been coming easy to her. So if she finds that there's going to be some sort of food involved, that tends to be her main area of kind of draw in. So whether the characters use that against her or not, we'll see, but it'll be a really interesting way to see if they can encourage her to do things. I think another thing that could get Veo into a little bit of trouble is her want of information about her father. So because she was separated, she doesn't really have much to go on because there was a lot of troubling times. So anytime she can really find out anything about that, she's probably gonna go for it. She's actually been driven out of a lot of the places she used to be able to go because of this. So having a couple of people with her to be able to get her back into that area, or to be able to take on some of the challenges maybe she didn't get to as a solo cat, will be really helpful with her in the long run. Working with others is not Veo's strong suit. She typically has been kind of a solo party for a long time. She did work with the Rangers for a while, but ultimately found that she wasn't getting the freedom to be able to move around the city and go to the places she wanted to go, and ultimately survive in every way that she could to get her to the spot that she is. So having to work with other people, it will be difficult for her not to sneak around the way she used to be, or be as nimble as she used to be, being on her own. Thinking about Veo as this kind of alley cat, stray cat that used to be able to do whatever she wants, and now she's feeling a little bit held back by some of the party members because of the way that they have to traverse around the city. As much as Veo wants to be on her own and finds that survival is that way, she once had a family and she was very happy when she did. So finding that replacement for her family until she can find her own, I think is going to be a really interesting development with Veo and the way that she sees her involvement with the party, but also involvement in the characters that are around her as well. I think actually a lot of Veo is actually based on bits of myself. So when it comes to like the caution and the food, and ultimately just the way I play her, I'm being actually really true to who I am. So it's actually not that hard to role play her because she's not really coming so far from what I actually, I guess, am myself. I'm excited about all the twists and turns that the story can take. I think there are a lot of areas, especially with Drakkenheim being such a dynamic city with a lot of dynamic groups. I think what's going to get everybody really excited about watching us play this campaign is ultimately we're a group of friends that enjoy playing Dungeons & Dragons. We enjoy playing together, we enjoy hanging out, but what we also enjoy is, you know, the way that we're going to build this story up, the way that we're going to build our characters in, and the way that we want to encourage people to come into the community of what we're doing. So we want you to come and feel like you're playing at the table with us. We want you to interact. We want you to be involved and join us in the fun that we're having here at the table. I'm really excited not only to be a part of it, but also to see how we evolve together and how the community's going to evolve. I really love the idea of opening this up to everyone to feel like they're a part of Dungeon Dudes and to be a part of our campaign and what we would normally enjoy as a group. And I hope that people feel like they can join us in that journey and ultimately feel like one of the dudes. Dungeons of Drakkenheim is our weekly Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign. The live stream airs on Tuesdays from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch TV. You can follow the links below to find the broadcast, and the video on demand episodes are available the following Friday on the Dungeon Dudes YouTube channel.